Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. This article comes to you guys from the Wall Street Journal. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So there has been an ongoing feud between AT&T and Verizon for some time now over this 4.9 gigahertz spectrum. For those of you who follow the channel, you're aware Verizon has voiced their opinion very loud. They've been in DC meeting with the FCC chairwoman about this issue. Right? AT&T says a wireless spectrum boost could help local agencies do more. Verizon calls proposal a $14 billion giveaway. Now, the reason why I'm making this video, T-Mobile is now also getting in on this fight. And you'll see that in the article. Two of the nation's major telecommunication companies are feuding over a plan to boost service for police, firefighters, and other state and local agencies. A move Verizon says would amount to a $14 billion gift to rival AT&T. So those are the two that are going back and forth. But here is what's interesting. T-Mobile US likewise urged regulators to avoid a FirstNet takeover of the spectrum. The carrier hasn't made its case as forcefully as Verizon, whose CEO traveled to Washington twice in recent weeks to lobby regulators. So T-Mobile is also against this. And if it got closer to that 4.9 spectrum perhaps being gifted to AT&T, T-Mobile may likely also fly out to DC and lobby and voice their opinions as well. So that could be a possibility. Now, my question here is, why would T-Mobile have a fight in this, right? Yes, I know T-Mobile competes for first responders as well. They're giving the service away for free for like the first 10 years. But if I'm T-Mobile, I have to rethink. I have to say, okay, am I ready to even compete for the spectrum if it goes up for auction? Am I ready to present first responders a network that they can rely on, right? You have to look at it like that, because when you're talking first responders, your network has to be on point. And I know that in some cases that hasn't even been the case for AT&T, right? They've had some mishaps, they've had issues, they've been called out. So, and that's coming from a company that's been investing a larger amount over the years versus T-Mobile. And they've been getting reimbursements from the government specifically for deployments for first responders. So T-Mobile is far from the network size that may be required, and then having the overall availability and reliability as well. You got to think about all that. Yes, T-Mobile is deploying backup generators in my area, and they have them on a very high percentage of sites. But I guarantee you there's other areas out there that T-Mobile has zero backup generators. So that's all of that could be a problem if they got, a bit deeper into this first responder situation. Yes, they want to compete. They want a piece of the 4.9 if available, right? But then again, how do you split 50 megahertz three ways? You know what I mean? So I feel all Verizon and T-Mobile would do is drive up the pricing in an auction, if it did happen, for spectrum that's going to go to AT&T anyway. That's what I feel would happen. I mean, if you divide 50 by two carriers, it's 25 each, right? And even that, you could make the argument, is questionable of receiving billions of additional dollars to deploy that spectrum for just 25 megahertz, right? If Verizon got that, Verizon would have to pay for that out of their capital. AT&T would get that reimbursed. Verizon would have to pay for that out of their capital. Same with T-Mobile. If they split that three ways, I mean, T-Mobile would have to spend billions deploying that. Nobody is going to be interested in deploying that little of spectrum nationwide. It's it's not part of anyone's plan. So is T-Mobile going to come out at an analyst day and say, okay, we're going to invest 20 billion for the next 3 years because we have to accelerate deployment of 4.9, 10 megahertz, whatever, right? They're not going to do that. So I don't know why, even Verizon, I don't know why they're making a big fuss about this. Yes, I get it. It shouldn't be gifted. But even if it went up for auction, would Verizon and T-Mobile bid aggressive enough to take it from AT&T? Probably not, because they're not getting reimbursed. They're not going to get funded for this deployment. Not going to happen. AT&T has that contract. So again, I even question why Verizon CEO Hans Vestberg is in DC lobbying against this deal or against this gift, when neither one, right, even T-Mobile, they're not getting reimbursements to deploy that spectrum. They would have to deploy it themselves out of their own capital, and they're likely not going to go as aggressive. So either way it goes, this is very likely to end up with AT&T no matter what. So let me know your thoughts. I'll make a different video speaking on it from the Verizon perspective, but the T-Mobile one, they shouldn't have a fight in this. They still have the smallest network today. They still have the most amount of sites without backup gens. They still have a redundancy issue on the fiber side because they don't own the fiber. So that all adds to the reliability piece that they need to get right. And before they can get to that level of excellence, I think they need to take a step back here, in my opinion. Yes, they're getting better. I acknowledge that. The reports are saying they are better. But they still have, and this is talks I have with T-Mobile engineers. They still have years to go to really close that gap overall. Reliability, backup gens on all sites, all that good stuff. They still have years to go. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. See y'all in the next one. Peace.